Okay, so this is the homework for page 348, 349, 34 to 56 even. I'm going to do the odd problem. Okay, so first thing you need to do is you need to put everything in its simplest form, and then you multiply. So I'm going to start with the top of the first numerator, which is 2x minus 4, where you can factor a 2 out, leaving you behind x minus 2, over 15. That looks a little bit too much like 75 for my liking. Times 6. 6 and 15, you can't do anything with those. And 2 minus x, you can't do anything with. So first off, always put parentheses around each expression. And then you can see what cancels and what doesn't. So you'll notice on this first problem here, you have an x minus 2 and a 2 minus x, which we can do something with that. Instead of x minus 2 here, let's go ahead and change it. Let's factor out a negative 1, which is going to leave me negative 2 plus x. And if I rewrite all of this again, and I rewrite the order of negative x or negative 2 plus x, you get x minus 2. And then you notice these cancel each other out. And then you're just left multiplying numbers. And you multiply straight across. So 2 times 6 is 12. And 15 times negative 1 is negative 15. And you notice this can be reduced because 3 comes out of both of them. So it's 4/5. And don't forget negative. I always put it in the numerator. Now, you could have maybe noticed that here, that these two can cross reduce. And you could have said this is 3 and this is 5. So then you would have, I'm sorry, had a moment there. This is 2 because it's 6 divided by 3. And then you look, you do 2 times 2 would give you 4. 5 times negative 1 would give you negative 5. And remember, I just put the negative in the numerator. Okay? Same thing here. You have to factor each piece and then go from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is, looks like I can factor a 6a out of the numerator, leaving 3 minus 2a. And then over, I'm going to factor, this is regular everyday factoring, so 4 times 1 is 4. My factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. 2 and 2 are going to be what gives me 4. So I'm going to put 4a here and 4a here. Always keep your first sign. If your first sign is positive, you keep your second sign. Or remember, you can say plus times, or a positive times a positive is a positive. So I'm going to put 2 and 2. Both of them can have a 2 divided out of it, which is going to give me 2a plus 1 times 2a plus 1. And then we're multiplying, and we're going to have to do regular factoring up here. So nothing can come out of 4, 8, and 3. So 12 is our, if we multiply 4 and 3, factors of 1 and 12 are 2 and 12, or I'm sorry, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. 2 and 6 are going to be what's going to give me 8. So I'm going to do it right here really quick because I know I'm going to have to divide some stuff out. Each piece gets a 4a. It's plus plus, and then a 6 and a 2. Here you're going to divide out a 2, and here you're going to divide out a 2. So you're left with 2a plus 3 and 2a plus 1. And then down here, this is difference of squares. So you know if you take the square root of them, you're going to get a is going to be 2a, and b is going to be 3. So remember, it's a plus b times a minus b. So it's 2a plus 3 times 2a minus 3. So now let's see what cancels. You've got a 2a plus 1 here and a 2a plus 1 here. So those can cancel. You've got a 2a plus 3 here and a 2a plus 3 here. So those can cancel. And notice here and here, you have 2a minus 3 and 3 minus 2a. So if you factored negative 1 out of one of them, you could probably get rid of it. So let's just write what we have left. So we have 6a over 3 minus 2a over 2a plus 1 times 2a minus 3. So that's what we're left with so far. So if I factor a negative 1 out of this top one, that's going to give me negative 6a, because negative 1 times 6a is negative 6a, and it's going to change to negative 3 plus 2a. And then down here I have 2a plus 1 times 2a minus 3. And then if I just want to rewrite this one here in a different order, you can do negative 6a, and remember, just keep your 2a positive and your 3 negative. So it's 2a minus 3. And then notice that ends up being the same as this one. So I can cancel those. So you're left with negative 6a over 2a plus 1. Now, you cannot try to cancel these because, remember, 2a minus 1 is an expression, and it's a whole thing. You can't just take pieces of it away. So that's your answer for that one. All right, so on number 37, in this first piece here, we're just going to factor out a 9, which is going to leave us x plus 1. And then in this first denominator, we're just going to factor out a 4, which is going to leave us x plus 2. And then back here, we're going to factor out a 2 up here, which is going to leave me x plus 2. And then down here, we're going to factor out a 3, which is going to leave me x squared minus 1. But we're actually not done factoring because down here, this is difference of squares. So I'm going to change this x plus 1 to leave our 3, so it's x plus 1 times x minus 1, difference of squares. So I changed this because I finished factoring it. So now let's see what cancels. X plus 1 cancels x plus 1. X plus 2 cancels x plus 2. 2 and 4 can be reduced to 1 and 2. 3 and 9 can be reduced to 1 and 3. So remember, you can cancel up and down. You can cancel diagonally. You just can't cancel side to side. So let's see what's left. I've got 3 times 1 in the numerator. That's it. So my numerator's 3. And in my denominator, I've got 2 times 1 times x minus 1. So that's just going to be 2 times x minus 1. Make sure nothing else can cancel, nothing else can, so you are done, and that's your final answer. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and number these so we don't get confused on what we're working on. And we're going to factor all 4 of them, and then we'll start canceling. So first things first, in our first number 1 here, you've got 2x cubed minus 16. Well, I need to factor a 2 out of that. And that leaves me x cubed minus 8, which is something I can do roller coaster with. So I've got my 2, and then I've got small and big. So 1 goes here, 2 goes here. 1 goes here, 2 go here. So a 2 and then a 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. Do your loops. I'm not going to draw them because I need the space. But remember, x times 2 is 2x, and it goes here. So you get 2x. And then scream or puke. So same sign, opposite sign, positive. Okay, so circle this because we're going to use it later. That's our factored version of number 1. So now let's do our factored version of number 2. 6x squared plus 6x minus 36. So the first thing I can do is factor a 6 out of that, leaving me x squared plus x minus 6. Okay, so now let's do regular factoring. 1 times 6 is 6. List your factors of 6. Which one can give you 1? It's this one. So you've got 6, an x here, and an x here. Keep your first sign. Always keep your first sign. If your first sign is positive, you keep your second sign. And then 3 and 2. So this is number 2 factored. Okay, let's do number 3. So we've got 9x plus 18. The only thing we can do to this is factor out a 9, leaving me x plus 2. So that's number 3 factored. And let's do number 4 factored. 3x squared plus 6x plus 12. So this one, you're going to factor out a 3, leaving x squared plus 2x plus 4. Okay. So when you do real factoring over here, you've got 4, so 1 and 4, 2 and 2. What is going to give you that middle term? Neither of them do. So this is actually as far as you can factor it. So now let's rewrite them. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And remember above it was 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. So let's rewrite them. So 1 is 2 times x minus 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 4, that was number 1, over number 2 is 6, don't pay any attention to this after we write it, times x plus 3 times x minus 2, and this is being multiplied by 3 is 9 times x plus 2, and 4 is 3 times x squared plus 2x plus 4. So let's see what cancels. So we got x plus 2 and an x plus 2. X squared plus 2x plus 4, x squared plus 2x plus 4. 2 over 6 ends up being 1/3. 9 over 3 ends up being 3 over 1. And this 3 actually cancel, leaving you 1 and 1. So you're left with, the only thing you have on the numerator is x plus 2. And the only thing you have in the denominator is x plus 3. And that's your answer. Okay, so same thing here. We're going to have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, so you don't get confused. The first one I'm going to factor by grouping. Okay, so this is factoring number 1. So I'm going to factor an a squared out of the first group, leaving me a plus b. And then in the back, you've just got a 1 being factored out, leaving you a plus b. So your factored version is a squared plus 1 times a plus b. Okay? So this is number 1 factored. Now number 2 factored. You can factor a 5a out of that, leaving behind a squared plus 1. So that's number 2 factored. Number 3 factored is just 6a squared, can't do anything with it, so that's number 3 factored. Number 4 factored, you can factor out a 2, leaving a squared minus b squared, which is difference of squares. So then it ends up being 2 times a plus b times a minus b. I told you were going to use difference of squares a lot. So now let's write it in order. Remember, it's 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. So 1 is a squared plus 1 times a plus b over 2, which is 5a times a squared plus 1, times 3 is 6a squared. I'm not sure why I wrote cubed. This should be squared. Sorry about that. And then 4 is 2 times a plus b times a minus b. Okay? Oops. So let's see what can cancel. A squared plus 1's canceled. A plus b's cancel. This a is going to cancel one of these a's, so just get rid of the squared and leave the a there. And then you've got 6 over 2 can become 3 over 1. I think that's it. So I'm going to scoot it up and then write what we've got left. So in the numerator, you've just got 3a, and in the denominator, you've got 5 times a minus b. And that's it. Okay? Okay. All right, so again, label 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and factor the first one. Factors of 16 are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. 2 and 8 are going to be the ones that are going to give us 6. An x here and an x here. Keep your first sign. If your first sign is negative, you change your second sign. You got 8 and 2. Multiply to make sure that's correct. It is, so I'm going to go on. I've got number 2 here. I'm going to factor out a 2, leaving behind x squared minus 64, which is difference of squares. So you have x plus 8 times x minus 8. You have to notice difference of squares. We're going to see it a lot. Then number 3, you're just going to do regular everyday factoring. Factors of 64, 1 and 64, 2 and 32, 4 and 16, and 8 and 8. And 8 and 8 are going to be the ones that give you 64, or 16. So you have an x here and an x here. First sign is plus, you keep your second sign, and then 8 and 8. Multiply to check to make sure you're correct. I am. And then here you're going to factor out a 3, leaving you x squared plus 10x plus, what, 16? Okay. So now you're going to factor this. It's going to give you x and x. Look up here for your factors of 16. We're going to use 8 and 2 again, believe it or not, to get 10. And then you're going to rewrite it. Remember, it's 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. Okay? So you've got x minus 8 times x plus 2 over 2 times x plus 8 times x minus 8 times x plus 8 times x plus 8 over 3 times x plus 8 times x plus 2. So let's see what cancels. You've got an x minus 8 and an x minus 8 here, an x plus 2 and an x plus 2 here, an x plus 8 and an x plus 8 here, and an x plus 8 and an x plus 8 here. So in the numerator, you're just left with 1, because there's nothing left up there. And in the denominator, you're left with 2 times 3, which is 6. So your answer is just 1/6. Remember, you can cancel up and down. You can cancel diagonally. You just can't cancel side to side. All right. So be very careful. If it's division, you keep it, switch it, flip it. All right. So when we do this, when I go 1, 2, 3, 4, you're actually going to end up doing 1 over 2 times 4 over 3, because you're going to flip your last one over. So you can do it one of two ways. You can rewrite the problem, 2x over 5 times 5x plus 10 over 6x plus 12. Okay, keep it, switch it, flip it. And then you can go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's what I do. So 1 is 2x still. So that's still okay. 2 is 5. Can't do anything to it. 3, you're going to factor a 5 out, leaving you an x plus 2. And 4, you're going to factor out a 6, leaving you x plus 2. So let's rewrite it. Remember, it's 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. Now that, ignore these, because we changed it and rewrote the problem like this, okay? So 1 is 2x, 2 is 5, times 3 is 5 times x plus 2, and 4 is 6 times x plus 2. So your x plus 2's cancel, your 5's cancel, 2 and 6 can be reduced to 1 and 3, and you're left with just x over 3. Okay? Alright. So again, it's a division problem, so let's go ahead and rewrite it. So we've got a plus b over ab. Keep it, switch division to multiplication, flip it. Flip the last fraction over. Now let's number them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see what we can do to factor. 1, 2, and 3 we can't do anything to, but 4 is difference of squares, so it ends up being a plus b times a minus b. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it. It's 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. Notice, if it's an expression like a plus b or a plus b and a minus b, I put parentheses around it. That will keep you from canceling things you shouldn't. So this and this cancel. And then you've got an a here, and you've got 3 a's here. So I'm just going to change the a to 2. And then your b's cancel. So you're left with 4a squared over a minus b. And because you put your parentheses here, that tells you that this a and this a can't cancel each other. It's like a reminder. Alright, so again, this is division, so we're going to keep it, switch it, flip it. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 9 over x squared minus x minus 6 times 4 over x squared minus 9. Okay, so let's number them now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so first we're going to factor 1. So I need the factors of 9. that give me 6 is going to be 3 and 3. So I've got an x here and an x here. Minus, minus, because if your first sign is subtract, you change your second sign. And 3 and 3. So that's number 1. Number 2, need the factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are going to be the ones that give you 6. So I've got x and x. If your first sign is subtract, you change your second sign. 3, 2. Okay, that's 2. 3 is just going to stay 4. We're not going to do anything to it. And 4, again, is difference of squares. Hopefully, you've caught on to that by now. There's a million difference of squares problems. So now let's rewrite it. So you've got x minus 3 times x minus 3 over x minus 3 times x plus 2 times 4 over x plus 3, x minus 3. So this x minus 3 cancels this x minus 3. This x minus 3 cancels this x minus 3. And you're left with 4 over x plus 2 times x plus 3. And that's it. That's your final answer. Okay. So this problem should look very familiar. It is very similar to a problem we just did before, but that's okay because now we're dividing, so it's going to be different. So we're going to change this key, so you keep it, switch it, flip it, okay? So I'm going to change this to division or multiplication, and then we're just going to flip this over. So it's going to become x squared plus 16x plus 64 over x squared plus 10x plus 16. Okay, so then we number them 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so then we're going to factor our first one, number 1. Okay, so again, factors of 16. So 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. So you want the factors of 16 that'll give you 6. So it's going to be 2 and 8. So you want an x here and an x here. Keep your first sign. If your first sign is subtract, you too. You change your second sign. Put an 8 here and a 2 here. Okay, so multiply to make sure you're correct. And then number 2, you're going to factor out a 2, leaving behind x squared minus 64, which again is difference of squares. So you have x plus 8, x minus 8. So that's number 2. Number 3, remember this isn't it anymore. Number 3 is down here now. So x squared plus 16x plus 64. So we're going to do an x and an x. You need your factors of 64. So it's 1 and 64, 2 and 32, 4 and 16, and 8 and 8. We're going to use 8 and 8. So it's going to be plus, 8 and 8. And then number 4 is going to be x squared plus 10x plus 16. So you want factors of 16, which we already have, that give us 10. We're going to use 2 and 8 again. So just refer to up here. So we've got x, it's going to be plus, and we've got 8 and 2 again. Okay, so now let's rewrite these. So we're going to do x minus 8 times x plus 2 over 2 times x plus 8, x minus 8, multiplied by x plus 8 times x plus 8 over x plus 8 times x plus 2. Okay, so you've got this x plus 8 cancels this x plus 8. This x plus 2 cancels this x plus 2. This x minus 8 cancels this x minus 8. This x plus 8 cancels this x plus 8. All you're left with is a 2 in the denominator. So your answer is 1/2. Okay, remember, if it's in the denominator, it must stay in the denominator. Okay, we're dividing here, so let's go ahead and change this to multiplication, and we're going to flip it over. So it's going to become x squared plus 3x plus 9 all over x. I just flipped it over there. So we're going to number 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 you're just going to factor out an x, leaving behind 3 minus x. Number 2, you're going to do roller coaster. So you're going to do big, or smarty, little, big. 1x to the front, 2 x's to the back, 1 3 to the front, 2 3's to the back, so 3 times 3 is 9. Do your loops. 3 times x is 3x. And then scream or puke. Same, opposite, positive. So that is 1 and 2. Okay. 3, we've got x squared plus 3x plus 9. So looking at this, notice this and this are the same. So don't even try to factor that. Leave it alone because you know it's going to cancel with this. And then number 4 is just x. So when I rewrite this, it's going to be x times 3 minus x over x minus 3 times x squared plus 3x plus 9 times x squared plus 3x plus 9 over x. So let's see what cancels. These cancel and these cancel. Notice I'm left with 3 minus x over x minus 3. So is there anything I can do about this? Yeah. I can factor a -1 out of this, leaving me -3 plus x, and then I've got over x minus 3. And then if I just want to rewrite that, I can do -1 times, if I rewrite x minus 3, because you've got a positive x, -3, -3. I just wrote it in a different order, all over x minus 3. So these cancel, and you're left with -1 as an answer. When you get down to the point of where you have just a number as your answer, you know that you hit the jackpot and you did it correctly, because a lot of stuff canceled. All right, and last one here, we're going to change this to multiplication, and then we're going to flip this over. So we got a squared minus 4a plus 4 over ab minus 2b plus 3a minus 6. Okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, you're going to factor out an 8, leaving you b plus 3. 2, you're going to factor out a 3, leaving behind a plus 3. 3, you have to find the factors of 4. So 1 and 4, 2 and 2. And you're going to use 2 and 2 to get 4. So it's a and a, minus, minus, and you've got 2 and 2. And then 4, you're going to factor by grouping. So you have, in the first group, you're going to factor out, ignore that, won't let me erase it for some reason. In the first group, you're going to factor out a b, leaving behind a minus 2. And in the second group, you're going to factor out a 3, leaving behind a minus 2. So when you rewrite this, remember it's outside. So you've got b plus 3 times a minus 2. And that's going to be 4. So let's rewrite this. So remember, it's 1 over 2 times 3 over 4. So you've got 8 times b plus 3 over 3 times a plus 3 times a minus 2 times a minus 2 over b plus 3 times a minus 2. So I've got b plus 3 and b plus 3 cancel. A minus 2 and a minus 2 cancel. And you're left with 8 times a minus 2 over 3 times a plus 3. And that's your answer. All right? Guys, have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.